This is Carson Edwards from the Boston Celtics, and you're listening to the Boiler Breakdown podcast hosted by Tanner Lee, Evan Webb, and Andrew Eiler.
It is Tuesday evening, January 5th, 2021. Happy New Year to everybody. First Boiler Breakdown episode of 2021. We ended 2020 on doing another little trivia episode. Hope everybody that tuned into that one or listened to that one enjoyed it. I know I had a lot of fun asking you guys the questions. And Evan, you're the champ now.
The champ is here.
The champ is here. That was a good time. That was a good time. I've
fun.
Gotta admit, I've watched special guest Aaron Lynch. I've watched his failed attempt at guessing Chris Kramer correctly a couple times, just because I get enjoyment out of it. So, but a lot to talk about tonight. We were hoping to go live after the conclusion of the Purdue Nebraska game.
Yeah, pretty 50-point blowout win over Nebraska, right?
Yeah, we had our fingers crossed it was going to be a win and not a loss. Either way, we were looking forward to seeing what kind of engagement we could get with that. Maybe we'll be able to do that in an upcoming game and in sometime in the future. We can go live right after the game ends. But COVID-19, like it does with every single thing in our lives right now, decided to rear its ugly head and interrupt a game for the first time that impacts Purdue this season, second time for the Big Ten. The game has been postponed. Hopefully they can make it up at a later date, but and it is on Nebraska's side that has the COVID issues, not Purdue.
Obviously unfortunate for them, but good thing for us. We got some big games coming up. So
yes, we do, and we'll be hitting on that in a little bit. We have a trip up to East Lansing on Friday, so the guys get extra preparation for that, and then a trip down to Mackey South, Assembly Hall in Bloomington next Thursday. So this makes 4 road games in a row for the Boilermakers, and I don't like the long stretch of just 2 games. I mean, you get a long stretch from Illinois to Michigan State to 6 days, and then you don't play for another 6 days until Indiana. That's a lot of empty time without getting on the court against somebody else.
I forgot the Michigan State game was a Friday. Kind of have we played a Friday game this year?
Yeah, we played Valparaiso was on a Friday.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. One of the Valparaiso on a Friday. Yeah, and we have another. I want to say 2 more. I know we played Michigan on a Friday, and I think we played somebody else. So, yeah, hopefully it goes better than our Friday night football game went.
Yeah.
So, but since we did a trivia episode last week, instead, and we didn't really get into the Rutgers game that happened. Was it the day before or 2 days before?
The Rutgers game was
that was 2 days before. That was on Tuesday. We recorded on the 31st. So, what was your takeaway from the Rutgers game that saw Purdue lose a close one out in East Piscataway at the Rack? News right before tip was that Ron Harper Jr., who is Rutgers' best player, or at least arguably their best player, Geo Baker's pretty darn good too. He wasn't playing. What was your takeaway from that game? Takeaways.
I mean, going into it, I didn't feel confident, and just because of how good Rutgers is, Steve Pikiell's done an amazing job since taking over.
Sure has.
What year is this for him? This is third.
Maybe no 3rd or 4th. I want to say 4th, maybe. Yeah, Eddie Jordan was their previous head coach.
Okay. He's turned that program around pretty quick. A team that really gave us trouble last year. So that's kind of what made me not very confident, was just, how would, the guys who played a lot last year, being Sasha, Eric, Wheeler, and Travion, how would they respond? Hopefully they would respond better. It's just one of those kind of like the Rutgers, Penn State, Illinois, those teams kind of punked us last year, I feel like, with their physicality. But I was pretty impressed. We hung in there for most of the game. I've got the box score up.
Good, because I forgot.
It was a 5-point loss. We outscored them in the second half. We were down. I outscored them by 1. We were down 6 at half. You saw. Let's see here. Travion went 10 of 12 from the field with 12 rebounds. We had a double-double. Only 2 turnovers.
He played well.
Isaiah Thompson. That was I was trying to remember
That's right.
game. It was Thompson. He stepped up huge, especially for someone who's been struggling all year. I know Andrew, who can't be here today, is on vacation. In our kind of little group chat, we've been really frustrated with that with Isaiah. Sounds like he didn't have the best off season, which who can blame someone for this weird off season? And who knows if that was personal or whatever was going on. And we kind of thought that once Hunter came back, when Isaiah started the season, we thought, his minutes were going to just evaporate, especially if Ivy started picking things up. But he stepped up huge. He was second on the team in scoring with 17 points, 3 of 4 from 3, 7 of 8 from the field. Played 26 minutes, which was, more than Newman, who was in the starting lineup for the game. Only 1 turnover.
That was key because when it comes to Isaiah, I trust him as well as anybody to hit an open 3,
right?
And to hit the mid-range floater. He's got that. He learned that from his brother. It's the ball handling that makes me nervous, especially against pressure. He's just not very aggressive, and he gets very timid, and he likes to back up against the press and get himself in some trouble, which you expect out of a freshman, but maybe not so much out of the sophomore who went against a lot of it last year. But, it was nice to see him kind of break out. He needed it.
He did.
For his confidence.
And you saw, you kind of had we can talk about Illinois game too, which we will. Newman definitely struggled. He was 2 of 7 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3, only 4 points, had 3 assists, 2 turnovers. Didn't seem to have only had 2 rebounds. Definitely a game he struggled with, same as Ivy had 8 points. I thought he made a couple of good moves in that game. He was 3 of 9 from the field.
Which game are we talking about now?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Rutgers still.
Okay.
Yeah, Ivy was 3 of 9 from the field. 0 of 4 from 3, though.
He hasn't got it going from behind the arc very, very much yet.
He is not. The good thing, or at least that game, and really with the Illinois game too, is we saw both our big men who had struggled with foul trouble only get 1 foul between the two. Trayvon had 1 foul, and Edey had no fouls. Granted, Edey only played 11 minutes. Trayvon played 29 because he was rolling. But it just kind of, I think, just kind of a lot similar to the Illinois game that we saw is just couldn't make shots when we needed to towards the end. I felt like they kind of pulled away and we just couldn't get it done, which was unfortunate. Like I said, I didn't think we were going to win going into it, but after the game, I was definitely more frustrated with that one compared to the Iowa game, and same with the Illinois game. Is Iowa game we knew how good Iowa was going to be, and I wouldn't say that we should have won that game, but I think with Rutgers and Illinois, we were in a position to win those games and just couldn't close them out.
Yeah, I was glad we were competitive in both of them. I know we all had previously said that we'd be thrilled with a split, but I think it's safe to say, I think you'd probably agree with me here that our toughest 3 games are probably behind us now.
Yes, 100%. Yeah,
and we're done with all 3 of those teams. So.
Especially with Illinois, I was terrified for that game just because of what we saw last year.
I wasn't looking forward to it one bit.
How much of a matchup difference they were for us compared to really any other team in the Big Ten. They just absolutely punked us last year, and to twice, including a game where we scored less than 40 points, which was
that's right. Yeah.
But the same with Rutgers. Rutgers beat us at home last year on senior night, which essentially we obviously don't know, but we pretty much thought it was the nail in the coffin.
Did you go to that game?
I did not know. The last game I went to was the Indiana game.
Hey, you ended on a good one.
The
Rutgers game was the last sporting event I've attended. My gosh, we're sitting here almost 10 months later.
Yeah, but that was definitely, pretty much the nail in the coffin for our NCAA hopes. Unless we ran the table in the Big Ten tournament, but
you never know. The record books cannot show that we wouldn't have done it.
You never know. But I'm trying to look at Rutgers, who they were without Ron Harper, which was
but Mathis went nuts.
Yeah, that was frustrating. He was 5 from 5 for 3, 9 of 15 from the field. Gio Baker,
he's a pretty killer.
He did Gio Baker things towards the end of the game. I feel like he didn't really do much for most of the game, and then when they needed him, he was the killer.
He is one of the I can't remember too many more Big Ten players I've looked forward to graduating more than Gio Baker. Not because I'm sure he's a good kid and everything. He just kills Purdue, and I am tired of it.
Yeah,
it started a couple years ago in the Garden in that Big Ten tournament game that we won, but him and Sanders went off and making everything they shot, and he just hadn't stopped. And I'm just like, there's always some of those guys. They don't have to be in candy stripes to get under my skin. So, and he's definitely one of them.
Yeah, they went 11 of 21 from 3, which again I think speaks to Purdue's defense as a whole this season. Is just, and I think it's something we're going to see all year. Hopefully we can see incremental improvement, but I just feel like whatever defensive scheme I should say whatever the guys are running right now, they don't get it to what Painter wants them to, which, I mean, Painter definitely has high expectations for defense, and that's, I mean, maybe a little, too high expectations, but I mean, we've seen some pretty good defensive teams come through, and this is not one of them right now. I think you see a lot of kind of over helping when guys drive the lane, which, I mean, you want to help when they come to the lane, but when you leave a guy who hasn't missed a three all game wide open, that's not good. Or in the case of Illinois, a guy who's shooting 70% from three wide open on the perimeter.
Williams is the difference in their team. I mean, you're going to get good nights out of Kofi and Io all the time. Carbello, stud. He's a stud freshman. He's going to be a problem for the whole conference for a while. But when you get Williams, who wasn't a good shooter last year, but has become a consistently pretty good shooter this year, that's the key for them going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I think Illinois has got the most talent in the Big Ten. I think them or Iowa probably has the highest ceiling, but I also think Illinois is the most that should be on alert of getting upset early in the tournament, in my opinion, because they turn it over a lot. They turn it over more than we do. And we turn it over a lot.
I mean, I think you could argue Iowa too, just because obviously Garza's going to get.
I know they don't play defense, but man, they score a lot of points.
Right, but then I mean, all it takes is Bohannon is very streaky right now, especially coming off injury. I mean, like I said, Garza's going to get his, but I mean, you get a pretty decent defensive team to shut down one or two of those guys on the outside, man, I don't know. I mean, I
feel like they have a ton of depth, though.
Yeah, they do. I don't know. I mean, you're definitely. I think Illinois is probably. I agree with you there, but I think Iowa's pretty close behind them. I mean, obviously, those are the two that I think that are probably going to make the most noise. I mean, I keep counting out Wisconsin. They keep proving me wrong.
Yeah, I know everybody keeps. I know they lost to Maryland, but every time I watch them, they look darn good.
I haven't watched them.
Their own experience, they should be good.
Yeah.
In Rutgers, I think they can make a little noise, but I don't know. I mean, the Big Ten's so deep. There's so many good teams. I didn't see Minnesota being this good. I thought they were a one-man team with Marcus Carr, and they're proving me wrong. So
they got a transfer, I think, who's done pretty well. The one big guy, is it Dobbins?
What's that?
No. It wasn't Dobbins, is it?
No,
that's the name I pulled out of nowhere. I have no idea.
It's something like that.
Robbins.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I should know. Co-host on my podcast last night mentioned it, and I can't remember. But yeah, pretty much every team in the Big Ten is pretty good this year. Maybe excluding Nebraska.
I mean, we probably
deepest I've ever seen the conference.
Yeah, you thought Northwestern was going to be a kind of a rollover, but they're kind of rolling. I mean, I guess they've kind of fell back to earth a little bit, but I mean, they've had a string of very impressive wins to start the Big Ten season.
Well, how about Michigan? They're the only undefeated team in the conference.
Yeah, I have not watched much of them.
Me neither.
Just because I just know I'm going to hate Juwan Howard.
At least we only get them once too. We really got blessed by the Big Ten with opponents we only get once, because I think our other one's Northwestern. So pretty blessed there. But yeah, it's tough to see Hunter Dickerson have as good as Dickinson. I always want to say Dickinson have as good a freshman season as he's having, but
so be it. Good freshman season, which is annoying.
Yeah, but so be it. So, but yeah, I was really looking forward to the game tonight. It's tough to wait until Friday night. Taking on the Michigan State team who plays Rutgers here in about 20 minutes. They really need to win. They're somehow still ranked 25th. I don't know how, because they've lost quite a few games.
And they're like, their net is like second lowest. Like they're like in the 130s, I think.
Yeah, it's hurting them that Duke's hasn't played up to Duke caliber yet, because that was a big win for them on the road.
Yeah, which on the top 25, I think it's all a joke, anyways. But
it doesn't matter. Yeah, you just want to find yourself in the tournament, which the NCAA tournament announced yesterday. The NCAA announced yesterday that the whole tournament is going to be held in Indiana. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's awesome. Obviously, it would be amazing if fans could pack these places, but if they could, they wouldn't be being held in Indiana as is. That's one of the reason it is because of the circumstance we all find ourselves in. Obviously, I mean, I haven't read anything yet about fans, but I'd hope they let the families in.
Yesterday, I read on the bottom line ESPN is going to be families only. That's what they said on ESPN.
Okay, I didn't see that. I was reading an Indy Star article about it. That's good at least, but yeah, it just, I mean, especially, you know, being able to play in places like Hinkle, Mackey, and Assembly Hall, you know, some of the places are, you know, bucket list items for a lot of, you know, big basketball fans, and to be able to, I mean, yes, these players are going to be able to play in them and this family going to be able to see them, but you don't get to really feel, you know, the environment that these places have produced, you know, over the decades. But it's cool. I mean, it'd be cool to see Mackey on a, you know, obviously we're always on a big stage, but just in that type of stage. But as Painter said in his recent interview, just be happy if it was on the moon as long as we were in it. Like I said, it's
fantastic. Yes.
Yeah, I don't really care. I mean, it's cool, but I like it a lot more if we're playing in it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good if we play at Mackey or Mackey South. So
I would love if they have to play at Hinkle and I could go to it.
Yeah, it is too bad that fans aren't going to be able to go, but it'll be it's neat for 1 year.
Yeah.
Outlier, because this is going to be a 1 year thing. It's going to go, hopefully next year we'll have a normal tournament. Fans can go. It's going to be out all sites, because the Indy Star is estimating this is going to profit the city of Indianapolis about $100 million at least.
Wow.
Which really surprised me without fan attendance.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't read into what the specifics are of that, but then if you take that and think about that, they're like, yeah, there's no way come future that other sites aren't going to want back in. So,
right. I mean, it'd be interesting because I'm not sure, you know, who all can come from each team, in terms of like personnel and everything. Because I mean, you think about it, I mean, Indy, as you know, is a phenomenal place for big sport events, whether it be Super Bowl. I mean, we're supposed to get the All-Star Weekend this year, and that's not happening. I think they pushed it to next year, right? Is that what
2024? I think.
Oh,
I thought back like 3 years. Yeah.
But with Bankers Life being right downtown, Lucas Oil all right there. I mean, you can walk to, you know, the hotels, the restaurants, the bars. You know, assuming those places are open. It'd be great for the local business. It'd be cool. I saw someone mention on Twitter that it'd be cool if they could get local restaurants to cater some of these places to help them out during this, because obviously, you know, we don't know what the next couple of months are going to be in terms of, you know, dining situations for them and being able to help them out. So that'd be cool. If that's something that they can put together. Yeah, it'd be cool. It'd be cool to have a spotlight on, you know, a state and city that often gets overlooked. I feel like, you know, it's a place that we've called home our entire life, and as much as we've talked crap about it over our lifetime, it's, you know, we're proud to be from here, and it's gonna be pretty cool to see, you know, not only our alma mater, you know, showcase, but just our state as well.
Yep. Well said. I'm sure Notre Dame understands, but I bet they're a little peed too. Like, oh, everybody else gets a house game.
Someone also mentioned like Fort Wayne. I was like, that's 2 hours from me.
Fort Wayne's got the Division II, I believe.
Yeah, that's true.
Evansville's getting Division III. So
yeah, that's pretty cool.
So a lot of them are getting a piece of the pie.
Yeah, someone said they should do it at the Coliseum in Fort Wayne. I was like, that is too far of a drive.
All State's the emergency venue, just in case they need another one down in Muncie. But games are going to be played at Lucas Oil's going to have 2 courts, but only 1 in use at a time. At first, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, it does. You don't want one whistle over here, somebody to stop play over here.
That'd be awesome. It'd be like AAU, you know, summer basketball. I saw someone on Twitter post doing it at the track at the Speedway and just having like 10 courts along, you know, the straightaway at the end. Just
it might be a little chilly.
A little chilly in April or in March. Yeah, that'd be hilarious.
They'll be playing there. They'll be playing at Hinkle, Mackey, and Assembly Hall, like we said. They'll be playing at State Farm Center, I believe it's called. Arena.
It's the Farmers Coliseum.
Farmers Coliseum. I should know. Yeah. I was just there, and well, it's been over a year now. last November, but. And then of course the Final Four will be at Lucas Oil, which it was originally supposed to be anyway. So, looking forward to it. Should be a good time. Hopefully, we're one of the 68 teams that gets in the field. We got a little work to do, and that starts Friday night up in East Lansing.
Andy Katz had us in his latest field of 68. I think he had us as a 10 seed playing number 7 Virginia.
Why? I don't want to ever play them again. Even though we killed them last year. Virginia, March. Still too soon. Still too soon. It's always going to be too soon until we break that glass.
Oh, and then I remember the same thing. So if we won, we played the 2 seed. The 2 seed was Illinois. Which I didn't think is possible, but it's possible if there's so many teams from a conference. So it had to be. So I was like, that's stupid. I was like,
if you're going to get 10 or 11 teams in from the Big Ten, there's going to be matchups that you can't.
I just rather not be Illinois. I would take Iowa.
I don't want to play Illinois until next year. Let them lose some of their guys jumping early, and then we'll play them because you and me both have a mutual friend, a good friend of ours that's an Illinois fan, and I can't take it. I can't take it anymore. So, but what are you looking for the Boilermakers Friday night? I haven't watched Michigan State.
I have not watched Michigan State. I know they got the Hauser kid. One of them.
He's good.
He's good.
Rocket Watts is improved. They got
was Henry hurt? Or I can't remember if he got hurt or not. If he's back, I have no idea.
I think he's back, but he was banged up. But they got Langford back this year. He missed all last year with a foot injury. Of course, they got Hall, Malik Hall.
Yep.
And then they always got good freshmen. So
I mean it's a Tom Izzo team. I'm never gonna count them out. I think definitely Michigan State and Purdue are in a very similar situation where you often see these teams take their lumps pretty early in the season, especially Michigan State because they always play a very tough schedule. Typically, obviously, this year is a little different. And usually, I mean, especially for Purdue being as young as we are or I guess inexperienced, you usually see, around the December, January is when we start to turn the tide. But that's also after we've played, around 10 games. That's probably what we're at right now. Same for Michigan State. So I'm expecting Michigan State to turn it around really anytime. And I would not be surprised if they end up in the top 5 of the Big Ten when it's all said and done, just because it's what Tom Izzo does. It's going to be a tough game. They play hard. I'm very thankful that the Izzone is not there. It's always a very tough environment, but one that's always pretty awesome when you can win at that place.
We don't see it very often, but it does feel great. I remember when the 09-10 team went in there and buried them. That's when I realized, okay, this team's legit. And then we went back up there the next year and buried them. 10 and 11. And then, of course, Biggie had his moment up there. There's a few clutch plays. I don't think we've won there since. We've been in some good contests with them, but
obviously there's the Miles Bridges banked in 3 in the 2017-2018 team. We lost back-to-back games with Ohio State and Michigan State, and it ruined and then Wisconsin, I think, too.
Wisconsin, we lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, ruined our games.
That was rough. Forgot about that.
I think it's going to be a good game. I feel good about it. I don't know, just because I haven't watched Michigan State or just because I get too caught up in their stumbles so far early in the Big Ten season. But, I mean, we got to win sometime.
Yep. And why not start Friday? So, and we'll cover it in the NA game next week. We'll do an episode before next Thursday, so we won't hit on that one right now. They're supposed to play. They won last night though over Maryland. They're supposed to play Sunday against Nebraska, but who knows if that game's going to happen?
They do play. I was just looking at the schedule. I think they play Thursday against Wisconsin at Wisconsin
this week.
Yep.
They play 3 games this week. Oh, did not know that. Oh, yes, I did. Predicted the game last night. Yeah. Because Wisconsin is their house of horrors when it comes to Big Ten basketball. Yeah. It's kind of like it was for them on football until this year. Now Ole Miss is their house of horrors for football. That too soon?
Not at all. Proud of themselves.
Any other thoughts relating to the basketball?
I was just thinking to myself today, which I honestly did not know until Stephen Bardo, which that's another conversation for another podcast.
Oh my gosh, are we going to have a game where he doesn't dominate?
I hope so. I mean, beginning of the year, I thought I liked him last year, but also, I mean, this is a weird year where commentators can do multiple games in a week because they don't have to travel because they're doing it from home. But yeah, he's just been getting to me. It's also maybe because I've watched with my girlfriend being an IU grad and her watching their games. He does their games too. He's on a lot of theirs. So I'm just had nothing but Stephen Bardo in my ears watching these games. And I'm just like, God.
He just does the same stuff
all the time. Stuff. I don't know. It's a little annoying. But he said something during the Illinois game that we were the youngest team in the Big Ten. I never even really thought about that.
No seniors.
People were I know we talk about our inexperience of youth, but then I keep going back and forth of like, well, yeah, we are, but also we've got 4 guys who have played a lot of basketball, who essentially are seniors. So I kind of go back and forth of like, are we really that inexperienced? Because, you know, look at our starters. You got Sasha, Eric, and Trey are all juniors. Then obviously Wheeler comes off the bench, but then I'm also like, well, we also have 5 guys who 2 months ago hadn't played a minute of college basketball in their life. So it kind of definitely evens out.
Yeah. I would like to see a game where all 4 of our juniors play well together. We haven't seen that yet.
I haven't seen that yet.
Where we see the majority of the time it's 2 of them, 2 out of the 4, but we've even seen games where 3 of the 4, like Illinois. I thought Sasha, Trey, and even Aaron Wheeler
was phenomenal.
Business, but Eric Hunter, that was the worst game of his career.
Yeah, he's definitely. I'm trying to think. I'm pulled the box score of the Rutgers game. Hunter, I feel like he struggled that game too. He was 2 of 8 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. He was 3 of 3 from free throw line. Only 2 assists, 1 turnover. Only had 9 points. Played 21 minutes. I mean, it was just kind of he just wasn't. I just didn't really notice him out there half the time. I think he's definitely probably our best perimeter defender right now.
Agreed.
But Illinois, he really struggled. I felt like a couple times he was trying to get something going, then was forcing it, and it just wasn't happening. But yeah, I agree. It's we're going to go as great as we as much as we want to see Ivy do well, and Edie and Morton whenever he can get things going, and Gillis and Newman. One of our juniors are going to carry us. We're going to go as far as they go, and like you said, if we can get all of them rolling at the same time. I mean, if we can get 3 of the 4 to really be productive, I think we've got a good shot against anybody. But yeah, it's just we haven't really been all that consistent, which we kind of saw that last year too with the team. Is just some guys just would show up one game and the next game they would just disappear or just have an absolutely awful game.
Yeah, I think we're getting close to setting the stone as far as rotation. But I thought that, but then again, Morton got a decent amount of run on Saturday due to a good week of practice. So yeah, I don't know. It's a good problem to have that we're so deep. I think at this point we can kind of guess that Dewana's not going to play.
Yeah, I think it's just unless like this emergency situation. But I mean, he missed so much, and it's unfortunate that he missed it with being sick, and obviously the emergence of Edie being as good as he is, he probably. I don't know if anybody really saw that coming the way, and I was hoping to see Dewana play, but definitely probably a situation where I doubt he's on the roster next year. Which I mean,
probably not
play somewhere. He's going to play because he seems like a really good kid and really good prospect, but just hasn't had he's had injury, his bad injury luck and sickness. So maybe she just needs a fresh restart. But yeah, I don't see him really playing much. But I was hoping this Nebraska game would serve as a game where hopefully we could get a blowout, or not a blowout, but a comfortable lead so we can get guys like Ivy to really, and Morton just to get a good run without having to, have them sub in and out. So you just, I feel like, especially a guy like Ivy, kind of like Carson, he just needs time out there just to figure things out. I mean, we saw kind of that with Carson as a freshman and, paying a pretty short leash with him. But once he got things going, it was, we all saw what he could do. I think Ivy's going to be a similar way.
That's a good point. And I don't know about you, but lately it's really hit me missing, not only missing the environment of Mackey, but even just the process of getting to the game, driving down to the game and stuff. It's, I don't know, this like the last week, it's just really hit me hard. Like, man, like what I would do to be able to go.
Parking over by West Lafayette High School and doing the cold walk over there to have the walking in to hear the band be playing. Yeah, it's something that
eating at a restaurant. I haven't been. I need to get down to Lafayette and support some of the restaurants because I haven't been down there since the Rutgers game, since March. I haven't taken the 65-minute drive down. I need to do that.
Well, I've got one you can support though.
What's that?
A little place called Mad Mushroom. I like that. That's professional there. Boiler Breakdown, we're happy to say that is brought to you by Mad Mushroom, serving Boilermakers since 1993. We were just little babies then. Mad Mushroom, located in the heart of West Lafayette, is well known as the home of the original cheese steak, my favorite thing on their menu. Whenever we go there, we like to sit down, have an ice cold beer while trying their latest pizza of the month, which this month, this month for January is the keto-friendly crustless pizza bowl. It's their traditional pizza sauce with your choice of up to 3 toppings, covered with mozzarella cheese and baked together in a bowl. The crustless pizza bowl is available in 2 sizes and starts at $9.99, which is a steal. But next time you're down there, Tanner,
Yep.
you can tell them I sent you. Well, the breakdown sent you, and they'll give you $5 off any order over $20. Get 2 crustless bowls and some cheese sticks, and you're good to go. And any Boiler Breakdown listener can also use the coupon code BREAK5. That's all caps, BREAK 5. Tanner's got on the screen there for our visual listeners. I don't know. I messed that up.
Viewers. I gotcha.
You can claim a discount code online at madmushroom.com. Mad Mushroom, feed your head.
Yeah, you better believe next time I'm down there, I'm definitely getting myself a cheese stick. I'm getting myself a large. Did it many times in college, and
especially this time. I just think back to like the Super Bowl. Especially living in the dorms where we couldn't go to the dining courts on Sundays. They were closed at least for dinner. I just remember a couple Super Bowls, the 2 years I lived in at Wiley, having to order like cheese sticks at like 3:30 p.m. because everybody was ordering them.
Yep.
Just to get it in time for the game. Miss it a lot.
The one thing I figured out late in my last semester at Purdue during my 4.5 years was how good bacon bits are on cheese sticks.
Huh. Never had that.
Yeah, I put that on there. I used to do the Hungry Boiler a lot, living off campus, and I would put an extra topping of bacon bits on once in a while. Man, I was like, why did I not discover that 3 years earlier? So, but good stuff. Well, let's transition to football. We got a little Boilermaker football news today. Kind of some eyebrow-raising news, I would say.
Very.
Director of Player Personnel, Aaron Hodges, as many of our listeners and viewers are probably familiar with if you follow Purdue sports on social media. He will not be back with the Boilermaker football squad in 2021.
Yeah, that was something that I checked Gold and Black earlier today or earlier this evening and saw the news, and it was just like, holy crap. I did not expect that. Obviously we're going to have we've already had some turnover with Bob Diaco out, Greg Brown out. Hodges was not someone I thought was going to leave or leave.
I thought if he left, it would be on his own.
On his own terms, correct. And it sounds like that was very much not the case. I don't know. We have no idea why he was let go. Obviously there's a reason for it. I was someone who we loved Hodges. He always kind of, broke recruiting news without actually, he let us know something was happening before it happened without, ruining the surprise. He was a great personality. He seemed like he really connected with the kids. But there's a reason for everything. There's 2 sides to every story. I know definitely there's a lot of people who are definitely questioning, and I questioned it too when I first read it. It was like, I kind of went doomsday in my own head of like, oh God, like what is going on? Like, is this I'm not saying this is it at all. And is this like a, my way or the highway type thing with Braun? Maybe Hodges did something that he didn't like. I have no idea. We have no idea. We have no insight to the athletic department and the inner workings there. But the more as time passed, it is what it is. Maybe there was something. Maybe Braun wasn't happy with how certain recruits are turning out. I have no idea. We have no idea. So really, I'm not sure how much speculating.
Yeah, we're just guessing. We're speculating. As far as the recruiting, this was our worst class to date. There could be many reasons for that. COVID definitely one of them. But one thing I will say is majority of our high talent lately has been position player or skilled position players like wide receiver. But Rondell Moore came probably not for anything Aaron Hodges did. It was more Jeff Brom in the system.
Right.
David Bell came to Purdue. One of the reasons was because of Rondell Moore. The Karloftises, George came because it was close to home pretty much. What I'm trying to say is I don't know how hard Aaron had to work at some of those really skilled players that we got. And we haven't seen the results come in on the line so much and a few other positions. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I don't know. Another point that was brought to me by I believe he listens to the show. If not, I'm giving him a shout for no reason. Is Boilermaker fan Jason Smith.
All the way down in Jacksonville.
All the way in Jacksonville. The only Jacksonville Jaguar fan I know. But he said, one interesting point, I didn't even think about this, is one thing he had thought of was, Hodges many times would come out on Instagram and kind of call out schools for reporting him for violations or close to violations. And he did that many times. Could that have something to do with it?
Maybe, yeah. I don't think they were even getting close to violation. I think they were schools were just taking a shot in the dark and they didn't like the way he operated. But yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of thinking, I know a lot of times Hodges went on there and kind of did he would do kind of like advice sessions. I think he's called Chop It Up with people where they would ask him questions and he wasn't really selling Purdue. It's just more of trying to figure out what's best for the kids. And maybe that's something where Brom's like, hey, this is your job to, it's fine and all dandy, but we want players here and, don't waste your time, telling kids to, go elsewhere. But I have no idea. That's just, who knows? He seems like a really good guy and I really enjoyed following him. I'm going to continue following him. Hopefully, I'm sure he'll land somewhere. People seem to really like him and took to him, and he had a great personality. So, who knows? It
came from Ohio State. You got to think they already have a replacement in mind or in their back pocket. Yeah. He was great on Instagram and Twitter. Like you said, he really knows how to use social media, especially Instagram. But I will say, in that position nowadays in college sports, especially college football, I think anybody in that position has to be pretty good at using social media.
Yeah.
If not, you're going to get passed by.
Yeah. These kids, as much as, the older fans want to, grab about social media, that's where these kids live on right now. Everything's on social media for them. And, I thought Hodges did a really great job of kind of building a presence for Purdue, which sometimes it's just a matter of, building a brand, which I was listening to the Gold Black podcasts earlier this week. And they're talking about essentially, especially if the transfer portal or the transfer situation goes the route we all think it's going to go, whereas you can do the one-time transfer thing. It's going to be essentially like a free agency thing where, it's more about, just people are going to be attracted to the brand and maybe not so much, the actual school itself or the system. It's just kind of like the way that Alabama and Clemson and Ohio State are operating right now, where it's just the kids just want to go and play for, the brand. And because if you go there, you automatically get, a certain status associated with that, whether it's right or wrong. But I thought he did a good job of kind of, making Purdue look cool, which I think Purdue is cool already, but I think he did a good job of, taking it to another level with these kids.
Yeah, that's a good point. All good points. It's going to be interesting. I wouldn't be shocked if this isn't the last staff transition we see. I think Jeff Brom's kind of trying to change the culture a little bit.
Yeah.
We were talking right before we came on there, we like a lot of these staff members, but sometimes if you're not getting results, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And sometimes you have to break it up a little bit, see what happens, shake it up. And hopefully all these moves result well. So we will see, time will tell. But before we get into the rest of our football conversation, should be noted that the Boiler Breakdown podcast is also sponsored by Webb's Family Pharmacy. Webb's Family Pharmacy is an independently owned community pharmacy with stores located in Rochester, Akron, and North Manchester, Indiana. Webb's is happy to announce that they are providing flu shots by appointment right in your car. Simply call to set an appointment, and their friendly and caring staff will be happy to help you. For all of your high-quality medical equipment, supplies, and pharmacy services, check out www.webrx.com or give them a call. Webb's Family Pharmacy, the professional pharmacy with the hometown touch. Boiler owned and operated.
Yes, sir.
Are you surprised that we're sitting here talking on January 5th and Purdue still looking for a defense coordinator?
Yes and no. I've kind of been going back and forth to we need a coordinator right now, because I think even guys on Golden Black are talking about it too. Brought up good points. It's it's definitely a double-edged sword of you want to get a guy in quick because you're missing out on potential transfer guys, because right now we got the transfer with Witt in the offensive line, but it's it's hard to bring in defensive guys. I think defense, we definitely need some help in some specific areas, but it's hard to talk a kid into coming here when he doesn't know who his defensive coordinator is going to be, what kind of scheme he's going to be running, or either they're going to be playing in, and how they're going to be used. So it's tough on that, and you're kind of letting some of these kids. I mean, the portal is just over. I don't know this for a fact, but I would assume the portal's probably deeper than it's ever been, and just in terms of number of players. And I'm sure there'll be some kids who don't even find a landing spot, which is
there's going to be some left in the dust, which is too bad.
Yeah, but it is what it is. What it is. So it's like, it's kind of like, man, we got to get someone in here to like get some of these guys or take advantage of it, but also it's like, this is a massive hire for Brom. Whether and it's just like, you cannot mess this one up. We cannot have this conversation again next year on our going to his would be his third defensive coordinator, third in 3 years. So it's just I have no idea in terms of who's been interviewed or anything like that. I have no idea. I mean, I think I am surprised, but I'm kind of like, if it's going to take this long, all I care about is just getting the right hire. At the end, if it takes until the end of January, so be it. As long as we make the right hire, I don't care.
I agree with you on that front. I guess I kind of am surprised it's taking this long, because it sounded like the wheels were in motion for a little bit before they actually made the announcement of Diaco. So I thought maybe he had somebody in mind, and maybe he did, and it just didn't work out from behind the scenes. But I think it was around this time last year that we got Diaco. I think we're a couple days away from a year ago. So, and when we announced the firing of Nick Holt, I think before we did of Diaco this year, I could be wrong. I could get my time frames mixed up, but I think it's coming here soon. Who, I don't know. There's been some names thrown out there. I still really like the prospect of Court Dennison, the co-defensive coordinator from Louisville. That's one I really like. He's a young guy, so he doesn't have tons of experience, but whoever it is, I want a guy who's going to blitz a lot so we can get a lot of sacks, get more turnovers, and for the love of God, get off the field on third down. Yeah,
it's just about finding, I hope Brom knows what kind of defense he wants to run. So it's got to be something that really, meshes well with the offense of what we're trying to do on offense. And it's one of those things where, if we're supposed to be this high-powered offense, we need as much time on the field as possible, and that does not happen when you're only getting one possession in the fourth quarter of that Rutgers game or whatever it was. You can't have that. So you need a defense that gets off the field and puts pressure on the QB and can get off the field on third down.
What was it wasn't it the Indiana Ole Miss game when you texted Andrew and I and said Ole Miss gives up a third and forever? What is it? Defense?
I thought I was watching it a couple of times. It was just like, God.
Yeah, that was frustrating.
That frustrating. The sad thing is I almost expected a lot with Diaco's defense. Like, 3rd and 18, what are they going to run? And then it's just like something over the middle where it's just like, where the hell was anybody? Like, were they 55 yards back or what was going on? But
it's got to be a scheme that the kids can buy into. I don't want to say learn easily or quickly, but can learn. It's not going to be too difficult of concepts. And I want to see a more disciplined team. I feel like we've been very undisciplined the last 3 years, really, on defense, 2018, 19, and 2020. So it's cost us in some big moments. So.
They saw a lot, especially the start of 2018. I think the Northwestern game, we had a couple. I think did Neal have a
Lorenzo Neal on third down? We were going to get the ball back with like 50 seconds left or some, and then the following week, Cornell Jones had one on third down against Eastern Michigan. He had a couple that year. And then Mackey, the one who stuck out this year against Nebraska.
Yep.
So
just bonehead plays.
Yep. We're still a long ways away from the actual football talk, but hopefully they're able to have spring ball.
Do we know when they're supposed to theoretically start spring? I
haven't heard anything.
Not a normal off season, but
nope. I'm just waiting for the defensive coordinator news and see if there's going to be any more staff news or any more players leaving on transfer or entering the portal or who's going to come back to opted out. That's a whole nother question. So there's still a lot to talk about in this offseason. It's going to be a very interesting offseason as it rolls on. Sticking with college football real quick, what do you think of the college football playoff games?
It was wild. The Alabama Clemson game, or not, the Alabama Notre Dame game went as about as I think we all thought it was going to be. Alabama's just too good. Same Notre Dame that we've seen in the playoff for BCS. It's just I mean, there's definitely the argument of not letting them in, but it's also the other side of the argument is like, each year is supposed to be its own year. So when the committee looks at, who are the best teams, you're not really not supposed to take into thought of previous years. I mean, same thing with the NCAA tournament. I mean, you bring out where the, seed Purdue should not, you should not factor in the fact that they got, bounced maybe the previous 2 years in the first round or, hadn't been past the Sweet 16 and since 2000. But at the same time, it's like, God, how many times do we have to have this dance of putting them in there and seeing them get their door? Which, I mean, they covered, which is, I mean, kudos to them. It was a backdoor cover. But, yeah, it was just, I mean, that game was pretty uneventful. Devontae Smith, who won the Heisman tonight, he is something
It actually surprised me. I think he was deserving of it, but I thought his quarterback would win at Mac Jones just because it's such a quarterback award.
Oh, yeah. But he was phenomenal.
Can you tell me who was the last wide receiver before him to win it?
Oh, Lord. Was it Desmond Howard?
Yep. Back in 91, I believe.
I can remember 91. Holy cow. I thought it was, for some reason I thought it was early 2000s, but I always confuse him. He just seems so small. I always think, consider him a running back for some reason. But wow.
I hope Desmond was his returning ability.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. He returned a kickoff return for the Super Bowl when the Packers beat the Patriots back in the late 90s, mid to late 90s. But, it's been a long time since a wide receiver won it, but Devontae Smith crossed that off. Good for him. He's explosive. I mean, think of that wide receiver core just a year ago. Had Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Waddle, and Devontae Smith.
They didn't win a national championship.
Nope. 2 of them were first-round picks. 2 of them are going to be first-round picks.
Yeah.
I think Waddle was supposed to return to practice today.
Man,
which could spell trouble for Ohio State.
Yeah. I mean,
I think Ohio State's going to be able to score.
Yeah.
If their offense looks anything like it did against Clemson and Justin Fields is dynamite like he was against Clemson, but I don't know if they can stop Alabama. I don't know who can.
Well, it's just so weird to think, or it's wild to think about Alabama because I was just thinking about the thing yesterday of like, I remember, I think in college, going to beat-ups and watching an Alabama-LSU game where the final score was 6-3.
Yep.
Like at SEC used to all be about, this is defense, we're going to win games, single-digit game or scores in single digits like, or 14-10 or 13-10. But now it's just like, man, you got some. I mean, you saw LSU last year just put up stupid numbers with Joe Burrow, and I mean Alabama this year with, like you said, the wide receiver core that they had and even have currently. And I assume that's Sarkisian has done. That's the reason why he's going to Texas to bring them back for hopefully the 4th time. I don't know how many times Texas has been back or tried to get back.
Yeah, because I was talking about this last night, and back in 2017, I thought Tom Herman was a can't miss for Texas. I thought Sarkisian was done after stints at Washington and USC. 4 years later, Sark gets the big job, and Herman probably won't be coaching next year. Anyway,
I don't know if it was the Ole Miss game, but they're talking about that shift from what Alabama did to where they're like all of a sudden like they're just putting up numbers that they are. Is I think it was Lane Kiffin who changed Saban's thought process on offense, which is, I mean, Kiffin is just something else. But
he is something else. He's a shady dude. But
he's hilarious. I mean,
he's a good football coach, but he's shady.
But I mean, it's just wild to think about Alabama and the SEC putting up those types of numbers. Because I feel like it used to always just be, we play defense. The Big 12.
Into the Big 12.
Yeah, the Big 12 was the offense, no defense league, and I mean, especially switching gears to the Ohio State Clemson game, I did not see that coming. I thought that was going to be the more entertaining game of the two, but I did not expect that at all. I thought Ohio State would put up a good fight, but I thought Trevor Lawrence was going to be too much. But I could not believe the pressure that Ohio State was putting on Trevor. I was sitting watching the game with my girlfriend, and she was just like, he's supposed to be number 1 pick in the draft. I was like, yeah. She's like, why aren't they protecting him like he's supposed to be? She's like, great question, because I feel like every time he was just had no time to throw.
Yeah, and he still threw for 2 touchdowns and 400 yards, and everybody was saying he had a bad game. I'm like, he's still pretty darn good, but
he's really good.
Ohio State was just that good, and Ohio State belongs in the conversation every year with Alabama and Clemson. At Clemson as of late, because I know we don't like to say, but Ohio State dominates the Big Ten. They have for the last decade, and it's year in, year out.
You think about the top tier of the Big Ten. You've got Ohio State, Penn State, maybe Michigan on some years, depending on the year. Wisconsin's always up there. I mean, how you put Northwestern up there right now just because they've been to 2 Big Ten championship games in 2 of the last 3 years. But it's Ohio State is on a different level, especially when it comes to recruiting. I mean, when Purdue goes up against the Penn States and the Michigans and then the Wisconsin, it's like, oh, we got our work cut out for us. But it's like when you got Ohio State in there, it's like, oh God, there's not, it's going to be very tough to land a kid like that, especially that high caliber of a kid. But they recruit on the Alabama, the SEC, Clemson level of just getting any 5-star that they want. I think it was like the number 1 kid in the country or the number 1 QB, I think in the 2022 class is committed to Ohio State or something like that for quarterback. Right. And it's just like, it just doesn't end. And I mean, I think there was a rumor of, Ryan Day being a potential candidate for an NFL job. And I think that was shut down pretty quickly. It's like, why would you leave that job? I mean, you have that team dominates the state. I mean, there's no other team to compete in the state for the fandom and unlimited resources. And I mean, why would you? I mean, until things start to go south, it's such an amazing job to have.
Correct. And if you establish yourself as a good enough coach, then one day if you want to go to the pros, maybe you can demand $12 million a year like Urban Meyer is. It'll be interesting to see if the Cons, they got the money. The Cons got the money if they want to shell it out down in Jacksonville. And, why not? Why not?
Why not?
Starting over.
One pick.
You get Urban over there. You're going to get a new GM. You're going to get the number 1 pick. It was probably going to be most likely Trevor Lawrence. You got a lot of cap space, gets free agents. Maybe Jacksonville turns it around pretty quickly. Everybody forgets they were in the AFC Championship back in 2017. So
I forgot. Oh, that's
right. 10-point
lead
lead in the 4th quarter against the Patriots. So
that's right. Yep.
That was defense was stacked. So we kind of went off tangent a little bit there. We got away from talking Purdue, but we're sports fans overall. So once in a while that happens. But before we wrap things up, I better pull I exited out of the read, Webby. You would think I would know the read off the top of my head since they're a recurring sponsor 2 years in a row. But the Boiler Breakdown podcast is also brought to you by Schroff Landscaping. Schroff Landscaping has been in business for over 50 years and can handle all of your landscaping needs, including landscape design, maintenance, irrigation, hardscaping, cleanup, and they are licensed lawn applicators. Contact them today for all of your landscaping needs at 574-223-2769. Schroff Landscaping, design with you in mind. Any closing thoughts as we wrap up the first episode for 2021?
Just want to get a couple W's in the book.
Nice. Especially against the next 2 opponents.
Right, yeah. Definitely my least favorite 2 teams.
Absolutely.
In college basketball.
Absolutely.
Depending on the year, it kind of flip-flops, I feel like. Yeah, no, it doesn't. No,
it doesn't. But there have been years Michigan State's right behind them.
Yeah.
They're definitely 1 and 2.
1A, 1B, really.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But it's I know we've talked about, before these games, we really didn't expect the 2 wins against Rutgers and Illinois. We were going to be ecstatic with a split, but we've definitely seen some growth. I feel like, especially I feel like we've, as a team, I think we've seen some guys kind of come along, but now it's time to start putting things together. If you want to make a serious run of the tournament, the Big Ten is going to offer a lot of opportunities for good wins, but there's only so many games, and you can't wait until mid-February to start racking up those wins. So why not start now?
Yep, why not start now? It's going to be a fight every night. You got to come prepared.
Yeah,
you got to lace them up and be ready to play because anybody can knock off anybody. I mean,
that's the truth.
Maryland hadn't been playing well, and they won at Wisconsin last week. So you never know what it's going to bring, but it's an exciting time. Big Ten basketball is really in the swing of things, and it's going to get intense, even more intense and exciting down on this stretch. But give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at BoilerBreakPod if you haven't already, and like us on Facebook, and click that subscribe button if you're listening and haven't done that either. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us a rating and review. That really helps us out among the other Purdue sports podcasts that are out there, because it's growing rapidly as we see. So we like to try to set ourselves apart a little bit. So we'll be back next week. Not sure what day yet, but that'll be announced on our social media accounts. So make sure you give us a follow. And Webby, let's boiler up, hammer down, and beat the Spartans.
Boiler up.